Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Global Issues on Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. Today we are very fortunate to have with us in Alhikmat studio Mr. Derek Corley. Welcome to the show, Mr. Derek.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
Good. So stay tuned for a wonderful conversation, very beneficial to the communities and the world at large. People all over the world when it comes to immigration issues. So Mr. Derek is the chairman of the board of directors of Atlas Immigration Foundation, and he's the chief operating officer. We're going to be discussing a lot of immigration issues with Mr. Derek and how this organization serves the community and how the community can benefit and how people worldwide can benefit from Atlas Immigration Foundation. Good. So tell us a little bit, Derek. Tell us about yourself. What profession are you in? What career? And what were you doing before you got involved with Atlas Immigration Foundation?
Okay. I was doing, throughout my career, I've done a host of so many different things, mostly on an entrepreneurship level. I've dabbled and dabbled in different ventures, trying to see what the right fit was for me. Because of my affiliation, my family being so much entwined with legal services, legal representation, I decided, instead of becoming a lawyer, use my business acumen to maybe help or do something in the legal field. So years ago, about 15...
You're using your business experience,
right,
to provide legal services.
Correct, because
it's
almost kind of like a well-known fact that most attorneys kind of concentrate their efforts
on their profession.
On their profession, on just the legal representation side of it, as opposed to looking at it from an entrepreneurial business standpoint. So I figured maybe I'd bring a little bit a different twist to the legal industry.
Interesting. So when you say that you came from a family of legal background,
correct,
what do you mean?
My mother's a retired attorney, graduated from Rutgers University. My father also was in the legal field, and he also worked for the Department of Health for New York City for many, many years under Dinkins and Giuliani. And also I have cousins and family members that are attorneys here in Florida, New York, and also in California.
Excellent, excellent. So what motivated you to get involved in immigration services, to be more specific?
Well, what happened about 15 years ago, I was fortunate enough to meet a young lady who had a translation company, and it was providing translation and interpreting for immigration court cases out of Texas. So I took over her sales department and built up her sales department to the point where she no longer needed government contracts. She was self-sufficient, and she had a built-up roster and annual revenue that would support her without the government contracts for providing interpreting services for immigrants out of the state of Texas.
Okay.
From there, I moved on. I opened up my own.
So what did you all really do? You got people of different languages to come and represent clients?
Correct. Well, for this particular lady, she only needed Spanish interpreters for immigration cases out of Texas. Whenever there was an immigration court case that needed interpreters, her company would provide the interpreters for all those cases out of Texas, state of Texas. So that was my introduction into the interpreting translation world. After I finished my consultation requirement with her, which was 9 months, I decided, you know what, let me try and do this on my own. So I opened up an interpreting translation company. At that point, I traveled around the country trying to create contracts and partnerships with legal firms to provide interpreters and translators. And then I ended up doing a lot of work for California Workers' Comp Division, Southern California, and started doing that. Then I decided, well, maybe let me expand a little bit. So I decided to learn as much as I could about being a court reporter. So fortunately, over about a year or two or so, I was able to adopt court reporting services into our organization. From that point on, I then started to provide this service nationwide through government contracts. And it was just a progressive kind of thing. So first we started doing interpreting, translating, court reporting. Then we started providing mediators for mediation
So
cases.
you're talking about general legal
So general,
services.
right. So it was just by chance. It just started from one seed to the next seed. And next thing you know, after many years, after about maybe 4 or 5 years, I was able to provide like a one-stop shop for a lot of law firms and a lot of government agencies where they could come and they could get from one vendor, being ourselves, court reporting services, interpreting services, translation services, mediation services, and document retrieval, which is a great service to a lot of firms because a lot of times they don't want to deal with many vendors. They just want to deal with one vendor, a one-stop shop place. And it was kind of innovative because at that particular time, back in about 2009, 2010, there was only really about 2 or 3 companies nationwide that were providing a one-stop shop service.
Interesting, interesting.
Yeah. And so in 2014, I decided to incorporate 2015, I decided that I wanted to incorporate immigration. It took me a little while to get that started because I had my own health issues back in the end of 2016. But once I was back on my feet and ready to go again, we brought immigration in as a service. And then we realized that immigration was a much bigger animal on its own, and it really needed its own attention. So we took it away from the for-profit portion of what we do and created a nonprofit. This way it would become, we would be able to hopefully procure some government grants, some community funding, and we would be able to then provide services at a much lower rate than what people are normally charged when they go to an attorney for immigration services.
So basically speaking, Atlas Immigration Foundation is an immigration foundation, services, whatever we want to call it, but it's a 501c3. It's a non-profit organization.
Correct.
That is going to be serving people. And would you be serving people who cannot afford?
Yes, that's the whole idea.
So how do you help someone who needs to get some immigration assistance? We'll get down to the fine prints of immigration assistance. Who cannot afford?
Right. So currently, from the onset of when we started doing immigration work, we consider ourselves and we practice and we act as if, and only as if, we're a document preparation and filing company. So if an individual wants assistance in preparing documents, filing documents, this is what we do. If they need legal representation or if they need legal advice, we have a pool of attorneys that we associate with that offer their services through our nonprofit at a much lower rate. So, for example, you have legal aid societies out here that will provide pro bono work, free charges to the community. We're not at that level yet because we haven't been able to procure government grants and funding yet. And that's only simply because we just haven't really gotten off the ground yet. Now we finally have gotten off the ground, and plus we had to deal with this whole COVID situation. So, but in due time, we'll be able to offer all of these services, a lot of these services for free. But right now they're at a very nominal rate.
Okay, beautiful. So what services exactly does Atlas Immigration Foundation offer? Okay.
So outside of the document preparation and filing and referral for legal advice, we're trying to connect with the community. Right. So we're trying to now incorporate a lot of social services on our platform, helping individuals with food pantry assistance, shelter assistance, job placement, and helping them with if they have an issue or problem with knowing how to fill out certain Medicaid or Medicare registration forms. Will help them with that. Also, we're trying to offer classes and workshops and primers for ESL, English as a Second Language classes and workshops, and also doing monthly workshops where we have attorneys come in and talk about new updates on immigration laws and how it may affect certain communities and certain cultural groups and certain people from different countries. So
you're telling me that you will also be helping people who are already citizens, but they need help with Medicaid and Medicare,
correct.
And health insurance and other kind of community services.
Correct. Once an immigrant comes over and they come through legally, and they come through through the right means, we help them also adjust their status from one status to the next.
Interesting. But these community services like food pantry and Medicare and insurance assistance, etc., would that be only to immigrants or people who are already citizens of the United States of America?
No, our services are open to the community. Whether you're an immigrant or whether you're a non-immigrant, or whether you're a United States born citizen and you need assistance, you can always come through us. We're trying to make all of our services across the board available to people who are in need, who can't afford services on a normal level, as far as food or job assistance or seeking shelter. All these services we're trying to do at a nominal rate.
Excellent. So let's start from the top of the ladder, come down, rather than go up.
Sure.
I want to start the other way. So a person who is a green card status person wants to get adjusted to being a citizen.
Correct.
How do you go about doing that? Someone calls you, I am green card, I want to get citizenship.
Right. Well,
what are the cases? What are the costs? How generally, I know every case will have a different amount of specifics to their situation, but generally.
Right. So right now, the way we operate is, again, I have to say that we're a document preparation and filing company. So if an individual comes to us and says, I want to go from a temporary resident, permanent resident, and I want to become a citizen, then we will go ahead and help them fill out all the forms. We'll ensure that it's reviewed by an attorney.
So you provide the attorney to
right. We'll refer the attorney. We'll refer the case to the attorney, and the attorney will then contract us to do the administrative work for them.
Oh, so it's not that you are just helping out with the forms and they got to go do the work themselves. They come to you, you get your attorney that works with At Last Immigration Foundation.
Correct.
And the attorney does everything.
Well, the attorney will basically give us direction or give the client direction on what they want, how they want the paperwork filled out and filed, and we will do the administrative work, provide all of that, help assist and walk the client through navigating the system and the process, and then go ahead and file it for them.
And then you file it for them.
Correct.
You file it for them.
Correct.
At Last Immigration Foundation files this case.
Correct. And
would also
the
be
attorney
with them at the interviews.
Correct. So the attorney is ultimately the person who is responsible and the representative for that particular client. We, as a foundation, offer as a vessel. We're like a vessel for a client to get those services at a much lower rate, as opposed to as if they walked down the street and walked into a building and just looked for a law firm, and they had to pay the normal.
Because the law firm
rates.
is going to charge them a different attorney
completely
fee.
Different fee.
And all the work that you are doing at Last Immigration Foundation is doing.
Correct.
Then that law firm will charge all of that.
Correct.
But you were doing all of that under what you call a non-profit status.
Correct.
So it becomes much more economical to provide this service.
Correct. So we, again, we do the administrative work, but through the direction and guidance of the attorneys that we're associated with that are willing to do these services at a much lower rate than if they got the client off the street, simply because we're a nonprofit and we're bringing them clients that they normally would not have been able to attract.
So people who have what is called green card status,
Correct.
they will have their adjustment to citizenship based on how they got their green card or
There's
their permanent residence.
Yes, there's a lot of different factors to every single case. Every case is so individual and unique. So there's no standard answer for any situation.
Right.
So what we ask clients to do is to take the first step. Understand that we're a nonprofit, that our fees are much more nominal than if they went and did it on their own through an attorney, independent attorney, that they could come through us. They get 24 hours, 7 days a week guidance. We don't charge the client for every time they call us or they email us, whereas that's a little bit different if you go through a law firm. The law firm's going to bill you for every billable hour, of assistance. We don't do that. We hand walk them through, and we provide them and refer them to an attorney that will represent them at a much lower rate, but that attorney will give them really good advice. We have a pool of attorneys, expert attorneys, that have all of them, each one of them.
Well, that's what I was now going to ask you.
Okay.
You got a pool of attorneys.
Correct. We have a pool of attorneys.
And what kind of years of immigration experience they have?
Each one of them have at least 26, 30 years of immigration experience.
So basically, while we are saying that you're providing the administrative services, this service that you're offering is a 20, 25, 30 years experience immigration services.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the lawyers who are going to take this to the immigration department are people with 25, 30 years experience.
Right. It's very important.
You're just a branch of those attorneys that make it happen.
Correct. I mean, it's very important to know, for anyone to know, that if they really need great legal advice when it comes to immigration, the more years experience an attorney has in this really complicated system, the better off they are.
Of course.
And normally, someone with so much experience could command and demand a very high rate for their services. And so our clients are very fortunate and very lucky to get these types of individuals who are so experienced for such a low cost.
Because the more complicated the case is, it's the higher the attorneys will charge them.
Absolutely.
Whereas with Atlas Immigration Foundation, it's going to be a little different to that.
I've in my screenings, to tell you the truth, I've never seen one screening look exactly or have the same kind of results or the same kind of situations as the other. Everything is so unique in itself. Every case is.
So what makes Atlas Immigration Foundation different to other non-profit immigration organizations that offer similar services?
Okay.
Because you got other organizations.
Right, there's other organizations.
Immigration non-profit organizations.
Right. And it really comes down to, this is what we've figured out as a staff, as a board members have said the very same thing, is that we offer something that is right in between both extremes. You have organizations like Catholic Charities, Jewish Services, Legal Aid Foundation, but they're very limited in the sense of what they can represent, what type of things they can do or representation they do.
Right.
They say that they're completely cheap or very low. I mean, it's almost where it's at, costs almost nothing. And nothing against these organizations. I love these organizations. I like what they stand for. I like their mission, their vision, and the work they do. But we're a little bit different. We're the next step above that in the sense that, yeah, we may cost a little bit more, but the type of representation that we're going to be able to refer you to, or even on the document preparation and filing, the customer service attention, the attention to detail is so much. It's so enriched And all of our staff members have one way or another been affected or had to go through or had a family member that had to go through immigration. So we all have a very strong passion for immigration. And then you have the farther end, which is organizations and for-profits that are legal firms that are asking an extreme amount of money, and you don't know what you're really going to get in the long run.
Yeah.
And all of our attorneys do free consultations. We,
they do free consultation.
Free consultations
when the clients come through Atlas Immigration
Correct.
Foundation.
The initial contact with the client, the attorneys that we refer them to will not charge them a penny, because my whole motto is, how can I charge you a whole bunch of money for something that I don't even know if I can help you with? So that's a standard that we stand by. We want to hear what the client's situation is to see if we can even help them. Normally these consultations last anywhere between 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and that's a lot of free advice and a lot of free time, and you won't normally get that with most law firms or agencies.
You won't get that for free.
You won't get that for free.
So basically, the kind of services that you offer, immigration services, compared to others, it's that Atlas Immigration Foundation is like a nursing home in the medical field, where you get a little more special care. Whereas other organizations, it's like going into an emergency ward in a general hospital.
Correct.
You're just thrown around. You don't know
Correct.
when your next number will be called.
Correct.
You can be there all night,
Yeah.
after midnight, waiting on your call.
Yeah.
Whereas Atlas Immigration Foundation is going to be a little more specific, a little more caring for these clients, because this is what you are generally out to do.
These are, it's very important. Again, it all has to do and start with passion. We treat every single client, regardless of their skin color, their ethnicity, their race, religion, preferences. It doesn't matter. We treat each and every individual like their family.
Right.
So these are people who have situations where children are involved. These are people's lives that are at stake. And some people just don't have or can't afford to pay for some really good advice that they need that might be life-changing for them and their family members.
Plus, a lot of people are scared.
Absolutely. Trust is the number one thing.
Especially when it comes to immigration. What do I ask? What do I say?
Yeah.
And this is where you guys come in to assist and help the people in expressing themselves as to what is really their case.
Absolutely.
From an immigration point of view.
And trust is a major thing.
Yes. Yes.
And so I just want everybody that's viewing this program to know that they can trust us. All the information that they bring to us is confidential. None of it will ever be released or misappropriated without their consent.
Beautiful. Well, it was really nice talking to you, Mr. Derek.
Well, thank you so much.
I want to get this Corley. So we have coming up next, after the short break, we're going to be talking to the paralegal.
No, she's Mayra. Mayra Rivera. She is fantastic. She's our liaison between our paralegal department and our administrative department.
Good. So stay tuned. After the short break, we will be talking to, it's spelled Mayra, it's pronounced Maida, paralegal by profession, experienced in the immigration services, and she works as a liaison with Atlas Immigration Foundation. So stay tuned after the short break. We will be talking to Maida more on her experience and services through Atlas Immigration Foundation. Thank you again, Derek. Wonderful experience, wonderful advice, and I'm sure our viewers worldwide, we got viewers worldwide.
Please are.
And America is a country that got connections all over the world. People got families all over the world who are connected to America. They will be able to call you, call us at Alhikmat office and refer their cases or their family problems or whatever the case may be to get some advice.
Absolutely. Tell everyone can call 888-963-9163. That's our toll-free number. Tell the staff that answer the phone that they've been referred through the Alhikmat show, and we'll take care of them immediately.
Beautiful. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice day. Enjoy yourself, and wish you all the best.
All right, God bless.
God bless. Again, stay tuned. After the break, we will continue our conversation with Mayra.
Assalamu alaikum. Allah gives hikmat, wisdom, to whomsoever He wills. And whomsoever is given wisdom is certainly given a lot of good. Only the people of understanding will benefit from the reminder. Tune in to Alhikmat TV for khutbahs, lectures, and Islamic reminders. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Global Issues on Alhikmat TV. As we said before we went on the short commercial break, we have with us in Alhikmat studio now a very legal professional, and you'll hear more about her as we continue the conversation. So we want you to stay tuned and listen so you can learn and you can benefit from her experience and whatever she has to offer in this program. So we have with us Mayra Revilla, and it is said that Mayra is pronounced Mayda. Am I correct?
Yes.
So welcome to the show, Mayda. It's
Thank
really
you.
a pleasure to have you with us on Alhikmat TV, and to let you know this show is broadcasted worldwide, and America is such a place that people got relatives and friends all over the world connected to the United States of America. So your legal background, your legal experience will definitely help people in what you have to share with our viewers. And to let you know, Mayra has a lot of educational background and experience in law. I want to make sure I get these things correct. She, by profession, is a lawyer from Venezuela, where she practiced law. She used to write law for the State Assembly in Venezuela. So writing law could be very, 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 very technical, very legal, and got to be very much to the point and accurate. So she has that experience. She went to Germany and she did some studies in international human rights law. And she also studied human rights law in Washington and has a lot of experience in dealing with political prisoners. So it's a whole world of experience and knowledge in the legal field. So, tell us a little bit about your background. I know I already said, what motivated you to get into law when you were in Venezuela?
Well, my family is mostly doctors, so I guess I didn't want to follow the family tradition. But I do have several uncles who are lawyers. But I think I always was interested in justice, and maybe it's a cliche that many lawyers will use, but is the rule of law that make our lives livable. You know, the structure of society comes from the laws that they apply and how they apply it. So I was very happy being a lawyer in my country. I worked for the State Assembly for 8 years in the Zulia State, which is a large state in Venezuela, famous for oil and famous for being opposition to Maduro until 2013. And there I drafted law, and which, like you say, is very technical and require a lot of attention of detail. Then I went to Germany and studied international human rights law and humanitarian law, and then I did an internship in Washington in the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights. Then I came back to my country and focused in human rights cases, mostly dealing with political prisoners and helping some organizations to get the word out about the humanitarian crisis that is my country living right now, in which the government doesn't want this information out, and what it does is it silence people by putting them in jail. So Venezuela have a large number
it
of
means
political prisoners.
When you know too much in the legal field, you can go to jail.
When you can't know too much in the legal system, not because you know too much, because you want the law to be upheld, that you can go to law, because they're violating our constitution, they're violating the human rights of people. And when you say, hey, you're doing this is a violation of human rights, that you're committing against political prisoners or even your citizens, your life and your liberty comes to be in danger, because the government wants you either out or in jail, out of the country or in jail.
Excellent. So what really motivated you to get into all this humanitarian sort of thing? Because your family are in the medical field, or because you just love to be involved in humanitarian services?
I like to help people. I guess one of the reasons that I became a lawyer was to help people.
You gotta be wanting to assist people and help people to get into human rights and humanitarian services, because human rights is all about some connection to helping people.
Yes, it is.
So that's the bottom line.
I think human rights. A lot of people say human rights are not important until your human rights are violated. Then they are important. We all have human rights, and a lot of people take them for granted, but they are not. When they are violated, say, my human rights are violated, and then is when you need a human rights lawyer.
Yes, yes. And many a times people's human rights are violated, directly or indirectly.
Indirectly.
And a lot of people really don't have a clue when it's being violated.
Exactly. Because the thing is that the only entity can violate your human rights mostly is the state that you live in, when they do not respect the rule of law or the constitution of the basic human rights that every person has.
Yes, and it can happen in your jobs, it can happen in your neighborhood, it can happen
in human rights. Are so many of them. Every single aspect of your life have pretty much a human right on it. Even the water that you drink is the right of water, of clean water.
Yes, yes, as a person.
Something that you gave for granted.
Someone living in the community and is not being treated well with even the water service, that's violating human rights.
Yes.
That is interesting. So what got you motivated now to be associated with Atlas Immigration Foundation, and what do you exactly do with Atlas Immigration Foundation?
Well, I am the liaison between the paralegals and the administrative department. Sometimes I do the screening for the clients, and I might not be able to give you, I'm not giving you any legal advice, but I will set and talk to paralegal. I think this person really needs to be put in contact with a lawyer, and that's where our pool of lawyers come very handy. Because something I should tell you, in Venezuela I have 17 years of experience, and
in law.
In law, yeah.
Okay.
And you know what? Pretty much is the most experienced lawyer who always wins, because you can never say that experience is overrated, especially in law. It's like when you see an old doctor, he knows a lot, so you should, because he has seen a lot. It's the same thing with lawyers. There's something that's very attractive, but the pool of lawyers that Atlas Immigration is using is they all have a lot of experience, and they have agreed to give you all the experience with a free consultation, and also their fees, because of agreement, because we are a non-profit, are really affordable, something that you will not get otherwise.
Interesting. You're right, because an old experienced doctor can look at a person and realize that they are sick.
My mom just could look at you, my mom is a doctor, and she will say, you're sick. Yeah. And my uncle, who is an eye doctor, he will look at people in the eye and say, you have hypertension, just to see their eye, because he's a very experienced doctor. It's the same thing with lawyers.
Says a lot. You can just look at a person. Wow, that is interesting. So in law, you got the similar, yes. Because you have seen a lot. Yes, and you hear a lot, and as soon as you get a few points, you will be able to figure out what's going on with that person. And so what motivated you to be involved in immigration? now?
I think it's because of my personal experience, because I have to flee my country, come here, and navigating through the immigration system is not easy. Not even for a person who has a background in law. That won't guarantee you anything, because I might have a background in law, but I'm not a lawyer here. I don't know the law here. So it's very important that people, when they are, the most important thing you have to invest is in your security in this country, that you decide to be the one you're going to make your life. So you cannot go cheap with something that is so important, because the immigration system is very complicated. So my own experience as a person seeking for asylum, it taught me that people really need help in this area. And although I cannot practice law and I will not give people any kind of legal advice, I can help them somehow.
So how would you help someone who is in a foreign land and they want to come to the United States of America? How would this organization, Atlas Immigration Foundation, Mr. X?
Well, you can like I said before, we cannot give legal advice, but if we have a screening process, and we can, if you can refer you immediately to a lawyer who will give you the right advice to what to do and when to do it, and do it legally. And like I said before, for a very affordable price, which for many immigrants is the key for anything, because you sometimes don't have the means to pay something very expensive. Even though it's worth it, sometimes you don't have it.
But my point is, somebody in a foreign country listens to this talk show, all right? And they realize they need to come to America. They want to get a visa to come to America. Atlas Immigration Foundation, can Atlas Immigration Foundation help that person to go through the process of getting a visa in their country?
Yes,
to come to the United States?
Yes. We will go through a screening. We will go through a screening process with this person.
Or online?
Online, of course. Everything. I mean, is the
yes, and the person will go through. You will
yeah,
assist them in all the different things: how to fill out the visa forms, what to do, how to go to the embassy.
Yeah, exactly. With the assistance of a lawyer, of course.
Okay.
I will not do it personally, of course.
I understand you will not do it, but Atlas Immigration Foundation
have very the qualifications of some of the paralegal is amazing. Like or head paralegal have 10, 12 years of experience. She have worked for several immigration firms, so she will be perfect. And Derek have been doing this for a while also, so they know what to do.
I think that's very important, because people abroad wanting to come here and knowing that they can call Atlas Immigration Foundation, and then you can make the necessary recommendation, this organization, as to what are the process. So a person wants to migrate, you can do the same thing from A to Z, right?
Yes.
Immigration services.
Yeah, there are a lot of ways to immigrate legally to this country. You only need to have the right information and the right...
That's a good point. So somebody wants to come to America. Now, this is very important. So they can call Atlas Immigration Foundation and say, hey, I would love to come to America, benefit from the American dream, the land of so many opportunities. How do I do that? And then you may ask them, representing,
we will do the right
we'll ask
question,
them, who are you, what you do, what is your career, what is your profession, what is your problem, why you need, and then you will be able to develop a legal case for them to apply for their...
Not a legal case. It's not, because you are not going to a court.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to the immigration system, and it's not a case per se, but you present a petition.
Okay, so you will recommend them how to go ahead with the procedure
to navigate. What we have is navigate the immigration system with the right advice from lawyers, of course.
And that is for someone in another country. Why I'm asking that? Because a lot of people are always of the impression that lawyers here in America, immigration lawyers, basically help people who are in America.
No, there are investment visas, there are workers visas, there are fiancés visa, and
And I think
ways.
fiancé visa is a big thing, right?
Yes, it is.
Wow. So what do you recommend on a fiancé visa? Should a fiancé get a visa in their country first and then come to America?
It won't be for me to give you that kind of advice because, like I said, I'm not a lawyer.
Oh, yeah, right.
And,
yeah. In America, you're a lawyer in Venezuela.
Yeah, I'm
but-
a lawyer in
But you cannot
Venezuela.
give legal advice in America because
Yes.
it may not be legally legal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I kind of tell you how to proceed.
Okay, but whatever may be the case, someone listening to this show, as I said, we got people that listen to this show all over the world, worldwide. So I'm sure you're going to be getting calls here now at Atlas Immigration Foundation, or we want to come, or we want to know what we should do, how we should go about
They can
it.
go to our page. We have a live chat 24/7, so we can
Oh, you
answer.
do?
Yes,
On Atlas
yes, and
Immigration
they can
Foundation
also
website?
in our website, and also they can in that website to free check make an appointment with us and have a meeting.
Oh, that's
And
important.
Yes, and on our website, and they just can say like, hey, this is my name, this is what I want, this is the questions that I have, and the people from the legal department, the paralegals, will answer them in the best way they can, and if they are not able to do so, they will refer it.
So they just go
a
to
lawyer.
Atlas Immigration Foundation
Yes.
online.
Yes, and there is all the list of services that we provide.
From an immigration point of view, and from a person who is in America, again, you remember the person who is listening to this, they will have these questions in their mind. Someone has some kind of complicated situation, but they're so scared. I don't know what they're scared or what is the complication, but what do you recommend? Do they give you guys a call and be very honest with what is their problems?
Yes, I think honesty, and that is something that you should keep in mind. That you should always be honest with the people that is helping you and with immigration services, because lying to immigration services is a crime. Okay, so do not lie, and be honest with the people who is helping you, even if it's your lawyer, the people that is doing your paperwork, because that can make a huge difference between
It can complicate your own case.
because if you're lying in the smallest things, your petition will be dismissed, will be denied.
And then you get yourself in problems, you get other people in problems, and it can be very complicated.
That's the law. You cannot lie.
Yeah. But what motivated you to get involved with this organization, Atlas Immigration Foundation?
Well, I think it's the opportunity to grow as professionally, to take another take on something that is related to law, because I plan in the foreseeable future to get into law school here. I guess I will go for a fourth time. I've been
Also, you're going to law school presently?
not now. I plan to do it.
Intend
I
to
intend
get
to do it.
your license in
Yeah.
America.
I have to go to law school again, all
Wow.
over again, but I mean, I think it's worth it.
That's interesting. What are some of the areas of services that you think Atlas Immigration Foundation can benefit the community?
Well,
How do you see this organization benefiting?
I think the fact that a large part of the staff is immigrants can give you a sense of empathy with the community, of connection, also of backgrounds in, like, I'm from Latin America, and kids from Europe, and maybe we hire someone in the staff that is for some other background. It will give you contact with the community. We're also try to establish partnership with another NGOs and organizations in the community, and we will provide a service that is normally very expensive because it's worth it. Because immigration is expensive for one reason, and to price that people can't afford. And I think that is a great service for any community, especially for the immigrants to this country and this community especially.
Also, one of the major services is the cost.
Yeah, the cost, yeah, is very is very I think payable. You can pay it, and I don't mean, and I don't want to imply that other lawyers are charging you too much, because that's the price of their work. You know, you don't go to law school and get all these degrees to do it for free.
Yes, yes.
But sometimes when you come to our country, you have nothing, and sometimes you struggle to get your papers or to do all the immigration procedures right. So the fact that you are providing a service of quality to lower costs is essential for a community that right now, especially with COVID, is struggling.
So would Atlas Immigration Foundation help people who just cannot afford anything at all? Someone comes with zero. I cannot pay anything. I don't have anything to pay.
It will depend of each case, and I'm sure that it can always be arranged to help somebody who really deserves it and cannot pay for it. You know, because we're a non-profit.
Okay, so what you're saying is the non-profit status arrangements can be made by grants and whatever financial reserves are there to assist that category of people who are really in need. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, you know what? We have been talking for over 20 minutes. Time just go. 20 minutes plus is already almost 25 minutes. So tell us what else you would like to share with us as we conclude the program.
Well, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you for inviting me to your program. Come to Atlas Immigration Foundation. We will treat you with respect, kindness, empathy, and we will try to do our best to you can navigate successfully into the immigration system of this great country.
One thing I wanted to ask, what about people of different languages?
How
would you be able to help people?
We have a pool of translators, so you don't have to worry about it. We have people who speak several languages. That's very important,
because a lot of times people got immigration problems, but they cannot express themselves, and they're scared to go to an English-speaking lawyer. The lawyer does not understand them. They don't understand the lawyer, so that makes the case even more complicated.
It does.
So you would have translators,
yes,
who can assist the people. I think that's very important for the viewers to know.
I mean, personally, I speak Spanish, English, and some French.
Oh, you speak French also?
I understand.
You can understand.
Yes, and I read. But one of our paralegals speak 5 languages, which is Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and French. So, and we also have a pool of translators that we can contact if the case is needed.
Right, right. That's interesting. Could you share with our viewers once more, if someone wants to get in contact with Atlas Immigration Foundation for some advice and immigration assistance, what are the ways of contacting you all?
Message your webpage, and is at atlasimmigrationfoundation.org, and for our toll-free number, there is also in the page, and like I said, the chat is open 24/7, and you can cut us. And also in our Facebook page, which is Atlas Foundation page.
Oh, you got a Facebook page?
Yes.
Okay.
You can contact us there, and we can help you.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to have you
as well
in Alhikmat studio, and I'm sure viewers worldwide would have definitely benefited from your experience and your legal background, and now your assistance and experience with Atlas Immigration Foundation. It has been a pleasure to have you on the show. So thank you very much for tuning in to Alhikmat TV. Today we're very fortunate to have with us on this show, before we went on the break, Derek, and I want to make sure I have his name correct, Derek Corley, who is the Chief Operating Officer and Chairman of the Board of Directors of Atlas Immigration Foundation. And we have just been speaking to Mayra Rivera, a lawyer by profession in Venezuela, and now a person with a lot of human rights background, education in the field of human rights, and now she's with Atlas Immigration Foundation, offering her services in this way of immigration law and assistance, etc. So if you have a question, you want to get more information on Atlas Immigration Foundation, feel free to call Atlas Immigration Foundation or contact us at Alhikmat Studio, Alhikmat Services Online, and I'm sure Atlas Immigration Foundation will be willing to assist you. Thank you very much, and always tune on and keep tuned to Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. Assalamu alaikum.